It's 2026 and Texas just can't stop arguing over the lost cause and how much of it we're going to teach to Texas school children. So I grew up going to Texas public schools, and by the end of my K-12 education, I could not have told you what led to the Civil War, because I would go to history one year and I would be told, like, I know you've all been told it's states' rights, but it's really slavery. And then I'd go another year and I'd be told, I know you were all told it's slavery, but it's really states' rights. And there was so much back and forth that by the end of K-12, I had no idea what started the Civil War. Still doing better than my high school choir director, who admitted to us that even though he went to high school in San Antonio, he didn't realize Texas lost the Alamo until he went and saw the movie. But in 2018, we thought things were looking in a positive direction. Texas students will soon learn slavery played a central role in the Civil War, what is historically accurate. They had been teaching that it was states' rights, sectionalism, and slavery. And in 2018, they switched it up to show that slavery was the primary cause, but states' rights and sectionalism were still taught as contributing factors. Then in 2024, we have another uproar, this time mostly about elementary age curriculum. The kindergarten lesson on Washington and Jefferson said that the founding fathers, quote, realized that slavery was wrong and founded the country so that Americans could be free. The people who wrote that, you are the reasons that students show up in my classroom shocked to learn that the founders didn't all get rid of their slaves and emancipate them after the Declaration of Independence. They really believe that. The second grade lesson basically went with slavery was wrong, but everybody was doing it, so don't think lesser of us. And second graders got to learn how wonderful Robert E. Lee was and how he tried to find a peaceful way to end the disagreement with the North, also known as the United States. And why would you need to discuss slavery or racism when discussing Lee and the Civil War? Now, in these recommendations given to the State Board of Education, which are blatantly partisan and really have nothing to do with thinking critically and understanding historical context, there was an effort to remove the idea that the expansion of slavery was the central cause of the Civil War, but to their very limited credit, they did not do that. They put that back in there, along with how Nat Turner's rebellion heightened sectional tensions and deepened disagreements over slavery. Let's take a look at some of the other recommendations. They instead suggest that students learn about the Klans, this is the second Klan in the 1920s, and their intolerance of Catholic Jews and immigrants. But gee, who's missing? Oh yeah, Black people. We're going to talk about the Klan, but they don't want us to talk about Black people. They also wanted to change the name of the Tulsa Race Massacre, also known as a pogrom, in which white people decided they did not want Black people, especially rich Black people, living in their city. And so they just destroyed that part of town and tried to run all of them out. They want to just call that a race riot. Whitewash language that hides responsibility. The recommendation was also to remove standards that defined racial segregation as keeping people apart based on the color of their skin. I don't know how we're supposed to teach segregation without talking about race. Here we have a Republican activist saying, we just want our students to love our country, which is not the point of a history class. And thankfully, not all of this made it in the curriculum, though a lot of really not great stuff did. And conservative Republicans and activists said they viewed this curriculum as the final battle in a push to rid Texas schools of instruction they say paints America in a negative light and trains students to hate the country. But if a country's real history makes you feel that way, maybe you need to think a little more with that history. This is the American Historical Association pointing out some of the major issues with this curriculum. Again, the majority of this curriculum did pass and is supposed to now be in Texas K-12 schools by 2030 and 31. And while I hate to burst that Republican activist bubble, there's no way this one curriculum is the final act in this play that has been going on since the creation of public schools in the South. That thing that happened largely during Reconstruction. So while this curriculum is supposed to be in Texas public schools by 2030 and 31, who's to say what will change between now and then and how long it will last, as it will surely change.